All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's Lunch and Learn series. I'm Steve Mahoney. I'm here with Ella Kowal and Kathleen Thompson. Today is part two of our five-part series called Startup School for New Business Owners. If you missed the first class, which was Business Ownership, Your Choice Awaits, you can find the recording for that on our YouTube channel. Today's topic that Ella is going to take you through is defining your business, your product, your service, and your audience. Elle, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining. As Steve had said before, we are all mentors with SCORE. I have been a mentor in the Greater Hartford area for about 2 years now. But primarily my background has been 20 plus years in both large corporate and startups, leading business product strategy and go-to-market. And I like to think about what my superpower is. And for that, I would say my superpower is sort of taking a creative idea and bringing it to the market where people are willing to pay for its value. And that's a lot about what we're gonna talk about today. All right. So to define your business and really understand your market and get the most opportunity out of your business, I've sort of distilled it into these 6 steps. And we're going to go through each one today and use some examples that I think will help you be able to do this for your business a little bit more confidently. All right. So first, if you didn't join the last session, we had talked about, it doesn't want to load. Let's see. There, let's see. Here we go. All right. In our last session, we talked about 2 examples that we're going to use through this series. So we have 2 entrepreneurs that have business ideas. So the first one is Sarah. She loves pets. She wants to start a business with something around pets, but she's not exactly sure, and she really needs to figure out what that might be for her. Homer, on the other hand, he really loves helping people, taking care of people, and he wants to turn that strength into a business, doesn't know where he should start or begin. So we're going to follow these 2 entrepreneurs through their process. So you may be in the same boat. You have an idea and now what? Or you may have started your business, but you're not sure how to sort of move the ball forward. So the first step we're going to talk about is identifying your company's core purpose and why do you exist. And this step is difficult for people. It's not easy because it's really hard to articulate your values and what you stand for, especially when you're sort of focused on the operational tasks of owning a business, setting up your LLC, your taxes, do you need a location? But doing these steps that we're going to talk about today are super important to being successful. So first, to identify your purpose, you really have to think about what your passion and motivation is. The best companies that are the most successful create an emotional connection with their customers. If you think about Apple, Apple is successful not because they have the best phone, but because when you see their commercials or their ads, it creates some sort of emotional response in you. The same thing goes for any company that is very successful in the market that they work with. So you really want to think about what your purpose is. Aside from making money, what are you trying to do and build in the universe here? What are you trying to make, and what is that connection that you are going to have with your customers? And so some key questions to ask yourself is, who do you serve? So who are your customers, and in what community? Is it local? Is it national? Or there are certain types of people that are really focused on your product or service. What problems do you solve? We're going to talk about what this is. It's really important. Understanding the pain point that you're solving. You have to always be solving a problem for somebody in order for them to want to buy from you. What's your long-term vision? What kind of impact do you want to make, in the world or within your community? And really, what's your core value and mission? So beyond making a profit, why are you in business? And why do you get up in the morning and do what you do every single day? Idea iteration is something that you all hopefully have gone through. A lot of times you have an idea, like Sarah, for example, she wants to do a pet business She doesn't know exactly what. The first idea is likely not going to be the one that you end up doing, or maybe not the one that you stick with long term. It's okay to iterate and have ideas as long as you're not changing your mind every other day. But this slide gives an example. So thinking about Sarah and her idea around pets, the light blue circle in the middle talks about what her sort of mission and her core values are. So what is her purpose? She really wants to focus on pet health. She wants to make sure that she's getting across the idea of treating pets with respect. And she loves the idea of being able to educate pet owners. So those are sort of her core principles and purpose for any business that she wants to run. So the first idea she had was, maybe a toy business, a pet toy business, where it focuses on, promoting pet health, running, or, teeth cleanliness or something like that. But as she did some research, that market is very saturated. There's so many options out there already, and people don't buy toys all the time. It's sort of like maybe for a present, or when the other toy has been chewed up and lost or whatever. So it's not a great recurring revenue necessarily. The second idea then she had was, all right, well, what about maybe dry pet food? And I can sell it at larger chains. Maybe I'll go to Petco or another, pet store and sell it there. And she started looking into that. And wholesale distribution is really tough. You have to really get your costs down a lot in order to make money on it. And she felt like that really didn't align with her principles in that middle circle with, health, pet health, and educating owners, because she wouldn't be directly connected with the pet owner themselves. So then she came to her third idea, her pet food delivery business, with a focus on health. And she really feels like this is an emerging market. It can offer a health focus. She can have direct engagement with pet owners and a little more ownership on what is delivered, what options they have. So it's okay to iterate, and it helps you gain awareness on the market, who your competition is, and make sure that you're doing what you're passionate about. Passion's super important because you're going to have to do this day in and day out, and you want to make sure it's something that you really believe in. So here's Sarah's business. So she's called it Possum Pets, our Possum Palette, and her business idea is home small pet food service. So delivery pet food, like we just talked about, focused on healthy, customized meals for dogs, maybe cats in the future. And her sort of differentiator is that she's going to also offer some health test kits for insights into your pet's well-being. So you can see, does this pet food really connect? Is it working? Is it helping my dog with, being as healthy as they possibly can be? She chose the name Possum Palette. She feels like it's easily understood what the company does. It's memorable and catchy. It's simple. It's available as well. That's also important for everybody. So that's sort of how Sarah sort of came to this is her business idea. Homer went through the same iterations, and what he came up with was his business, Brainy Home Companions. And his idea is a home healthcare service that offers these services in the comfort of people's homes, specializing in brain stimulating activities. So people who want to continue developing their cognitive abilities, keeping sharp. And his company name, Brainy Home Companions, very clear and concise, relevant, and he thinks it'll be able to scale as he grows his business. All right, so now that you have your company's core purpose, you have to define the problem you're solving for your customer base. Because like we said, you always have to be solving a problem for people or they won't see your value. So the problems we're solving, again, these two companies, I put together what I would consider to be the problems in those industries for the people that would likely buy these services. So Possum Palette, the issues that pet owners face is a lack of personalized nutrition. It's not specific to their pet. It's inconvenient pet food shopping. You either have to go to the grocery store or go somewhere specific to a pet food store. You might have concerns about the health. and longevity of your pet, and really want to make sure that you're optimizing and doing everything you can for your animal. And then you might be concerned about sustainability and really clear, healthy, hearty ingredients, and you want to make sure that you know exactly what's going into your pet's body. On the brainy home companion side, some of the problems you're solving is a lack of cognitive engagement. For people that need home care services, they might be getting the care they need, the physical care they need, but maybe not enough from, brain cognitive development, keeping on and focusing with that, which helps make sure that people are staying sharp. They might be lonely and isolated, especially if they're staying at home. Limited personalized care, and there's a lack of skilled caregivers. So there's an opportunity and a market there for a homer to come in and have a business. So these are some problems in the market. You should do the same thing with your business. Lay out what you think the main problems are that you're solving in the industry that you're in. Now you want to outline your value proposition. So what are your features and benefits that improve or solve the problems that you just defined? So a value proposition is really important to understand. And it's really a statement of what's in it for your client. What is the value that they're going to get out of using your product or working with you on your service? And it also really clearly defines the problem that you're solving for them. It should be a unique selling point that helps differentiate you from your competition. And when you're thinking of your value proposition, you want to focus on who are you targeting? What are their problems? How do you solve them? And then these two acronyms, WIFM and WIFI. And WIFM means what's in it for me, your customer. Think about it from the buyer's perspective. And what's in it for you? You, as in you, the business owner. So you want to make sure the value proposition aligns and there's value for your client and value for you. It has to be a two-way street. Otherwise, it's going to be tough to continue on and grow that business. So for each of these businesses, we've identified some features and benefits that we can bring to market. So these are the things that we think are helping solve the problems that we previously identified. On the dog food business, customized meal plans that are tailored to your pet's unique dietary needs. Convenient delivery. You don't have to leave your house. You don't have to worry about running to the store and getting these, the product. It's there when you need it, ready for you. We're going to have vet-approved formulations and sustainable ingredients. And then you're going to get personalized health insights to make sure that you can track how your pet's doing and be aware if there's any concerns that you have. For brainy home companions, having compassionate companionship and cognitive enriching activities. So brain exercises, all of the caregivers will be trained in doing this so that there's an additional value. They're home health aides as well as trained in cognitive activities. There's personalized plans and the ability to do recreational programs and take clients to a variety of things to keep them active. So these are some of the features and benefits. You should go through an iteration of what are they and really ask yourself as you're writing them down, is there value in this for my customer? Will this help solve that problem that I identified? And you can almost draw a line. This feature or benefit solves which problem did I just, that I wrote down. So you can almost like create that diagram so and you can speak very clearly to, here's the problem, here's how we're solving it. Okay, so now we want to create a business positioning statement. So you have identified what your purpose is, what problems you're solving, and the value that you're bringing to market and how you're solving those problems. Now you sort of have to take all of that and put it in something that you can effectively communicate so that when you're at a networking event or you're talking to a potential partner or potential customer, it sort of rolls off your tongue. And you can clearly articulate what you do, why you do it, and how it's going to help them. And so you'll get this template in the materials that we provide after the session. But this is a business positioning template, and it will help you sort of document and refine what that sort of statement that you want to be saying to the public is. So you start with this for. So who is this for? Who is your business for? So this is your customer, and you can try to be a little descriptive, not just, you know, for a guy. It's like, for what kind of a person? For pet owners, for example, that kind of thing. Who, what do they do? And then you talk about your solution or product. The name of it is what, and this is sort of like your how. And oftentimes we focus too much on the how. So this is where you talk about how you do what you do. So your product is, what is it, right? That's where you put that in. And what does it do? It provides this value. So that's what the that is, provides this value. And that's all the value, the features and benefits that we list out. Unlike, and you either talk about competitors or alternative options, or what somebody might be doing now, my product, my company does what? And it's sort of like, this is the final statement on, what you do and how it gets to the root of the value for the customer. And then from there, you can help create an elevator pitch. Elevator pitch is basically like if you're stuck in a room with somebody and they're like, oh, what does your company do? You want to be able, in a couple sentences, to have something roll off your tongue where you feel confident and you can say what your company does, and they're going to understand that. So I've created 2 different positioning statements so that you have some examples to start with. So this one is for Sarah's business, for Possum Palette. So what we wrote was, for dog pet owners who care about the quality of their pet food and are willing to pay a premium for health-conscious options. My company name, the Possum Palette product, is a customized fresh pet food delivery service that uses at-home health test kits to create meal plans based on each pet's unique dietary and wellness needs. Unlike other products, such as those listed, our product delivers a science-backed, vet-approved, and tailored nutrition plan that adapts to your pet's changing health. And then the elevator pitch is just sort of like this. It's what you would use, like I said, talking to somebody in a room, if you're doing any PR or anything like that. So here we talk about, we go beyond the ordinary to deliver this exceptional care. We blend the perfect combination of science and technology. And then this last sentence here is essentially my tagline: elevate your pet's well-being with nutrition that's as unique as they are. Now, it's really important. It takes a few tries to do this. Oftentimes with my customers, my clients, I sort of have them try this, and then we come back together and we refine it. It takes a little bit. So you're going to iterate on this, and that's completely okay. It's important to be crystal clear also on really like refining who this is for. So for example, we say this particular business is for dog pet owners, but not just anybody that owns a dog. It's people that care about the quality of the food and they're willing to pay a premium for it. So that's not just every single dog owner, right? But it's dog owners who also X. So you want to think about that as well, because it's going to be a specific segment of the market that's going to be interested in your business. Okay, and then same thing for Brainy Home Companions, for homers. We did very similar exercise. So for homebound individuals who need companionship and care and enjoy brain stimulating activities, here's what we do, here's what we offer, and here's how we're different. And again, elevator pitch, and then our tagline, Brainy Home Companions, where care meets cognitive enrichment. What I tell clients is, If you do this top part and you get it to a place where you feel confident, and you can certainly work with a score mentor to do that. But when you feel like comfortable with this, you can take it. And then if you want to use, AI to help you craft options for an elevator pitch, you can do that. That is what I did here. I wrote all of this up here, and then I said, write me an elevator pitch that's a few sentences long. They gave it to me. I tweaked it. So you don't always want to just take what it gives you. I modified it. I didn't love all aspects of it, but it was a good start. So you can use it once you've done the initial sort of homework at the top. Okay, so you'll get that template. You'll be able to use it and work with your mentor, or ask for a mentor if you don't have one, and leverage it. So now you have to define your target market. So who is buying your offering? So you know your purpose, you know the problem you're solving and the value that you bring, and you've actually, you've crafted that pitch for your company. Who is in that target market? It's really important to know your audience, to understand what drives them, what they value, where are they, where do they spend their time, where do they get their information, because it's going to be really important, especially for hopefully all of you who stay for the next session next week, when Kathleen's talking about marketing tips and sales tips. Knowing where your audience is, where they get information, how they get information, and who they trust in their lives is super important. If you take an ad out in the paper, but your target market doesn't read the paper and they're on Instagram and that's where they get their information, you're going to miss the mark. All right, so it's really important to meet them where they are and understand what drives them, so you can make that emotional connection that we initially talked about, and they feel like, I want to buy from this company because they get me. They understand me, they get me, and they're talking right to me. So here's how we identified our target market for both of these. We said for Possum Palette, our target is busy pet owners, premium pet owners, meaning people that are willing to pay extra for anything that they want to do for their pet. They are maybe health conscious pet parents. So they really care about what's going into their pet's body. Eco-conscious consumers, they care about whether it's not just for their pet, but for themselves. They care about what goes in their bodies or their families. Maybe they're very, concerned about sustainability and ingredients. And then we also think we can target just pet enthusiasts and trainers, because if you think about, like we were just talking about before, with pets, people that have pets, who do they trust? They trust their vets. Maybe they trust, another friend that has, a pet that is very healthy. They trust, pet trainers. So, getting and connecting with pet trainers would be a great avenue to get referrals. So that's sort of the main target market for Possum Palette. For Brainy Home Companions, our target market is going to be seniors that are seeking mental stimulation. So not just any seniors, but seniors that want mental stimulation, that are also homebound. So they don't necessarily live in an assisted living. They want to live at home, but they need some additional help. Families of aging parents, because a lot of times it's the families, it's the kids that are making these decisions for their parents or for their aunt or uncle or somebody. So your buyer might not be the person that's actually getting the service. It might be one of their family members. So speaking to them and making sure they understand the value is just as important. Another target market might be post-rehab patients. So they just had surgery, they just had a situation, they need some help still. So that would be a great opportunity for them to have some in-home care. And then individuals with cognitive decline. So they are looking for, specifically, they're feeling the impacts of having cognitive decline, either Alzheimer's or early onset, and they're looking for ways to continue to have those cognitive abilities and keep sharp. So you should do the same thing. Really think about your target market, not just pet owner, but what type of pet owner? What are their values? What's important to them? And that helps you identify who that target market is. It might be demographics, male, female, age bracket, might be their how much they make or how much expendable income they have. Because if you have a product that's not a necessity, but more of a want than a need, then they might need, sort of excess income in order to be able to see the value and pay for that product or service. So you want to think about the demographics, but also like what's important to them. Like we said, people, maybe eco-conscious is important to your demographic. So think about those, jot them down to understand, where they are, what types of things they're already buying, and why they're buying them. After you sort of identify who that target market is, you have to analyze the market and make sure, can I make money in this, right? This is a great idea, and I'm very passionate about it. Can I make money in this market? Is there enough room for me? How much competition is there? Can I live off of the money that I make? And am I going to have, a successful life doing this? Am I feeling good about it? So analyzing the market can be a little difficult, and I'm sure many people are like, I don't know how to start and where to start, what to do. So we're going to walk through that. So when you're analyzing the market, we typically talk about what's called a target market funnel. And here we've just done 3 simple layers. So TAM, SAM, and SOM. So TAM is what we call the total addressable market. So total market for your product. In Sarah's case, the total market would be like all dog owners, right? It's that very high level market. Then the SAM, which is the serviceable available market. So it's the portion of the market that you think fits your target client. So that's smaller. So then you say, okay, so maybe not just every dog owner. You go back to the market we just said, okay, how about these people, dog owners that have this amount of income, that are eco-conscious, or that treat their pets like, like family, yada, yada. That's what you would consider to be the available market, the likely people that are willing to buy your product or your competitors, right? But they're willing to buy a product like this or service. And then the SOM is the serviceable obtainable market. So that's what percentage of the available market do you think you can get? And you want to be realistic about that. I'm going to capture 50% of that whole market. Probably not off the bat, right? So that's your percentage of what you think you can obtain. So let's walk through the examples. First, gathering the data, you have to define that target customer. So you've got to get that real specific detail on who your target customers are so that you can quantify how big the market is. You want to make sure that you're finding reputable information. So there's a lot of information out there. If you Google or you use AI and you ask a question, there's a lot of information. You need to make sure that it is reputable. It's not just another company's blog post about what they think about things. It has to be quantifiable. You can find information through the census, reputable publications like research firms, things like that, state or federal data. Small Business Association has a lot of information. A lot of companies will publish white papers. So when they publish a white paper versus just like a blog post or a paid advertisement, white papers are things where it's research back. They've done some analysis and research. And then you can do your own data gathering through surveys, focus groups, interviews of, people that or you can pay to do those things as well, like those focus groups. So here is Possum Palette. So the market opportunity for Possum Palette. And let's walk through sort of how I got to this. So first I'm saying the TAM which is the total addressable market. Like I said, that's like way big, like the total market. So I'm saying for that, I'm considering total number of US households with dogs. So I'm saying anybody with a dog in the US, because we're going to be a US based company only right now. So how big is that market? That's 65.1 million households are, have dogs. Okay. Well, what is actually part of my target market? Because not everybody with a dog is going to be interested in my product. It might be too pricey for them. It might not fit their needs. Okay, let's talk about that. So we had said that our target market are going to be eco-conscious people. They're going to be people who are like premium pet owners. They think of their pets as an extension of their family. They're willing to pay additional for, the best care and food and health for their pets. So I'm saying the serviceable market, in order to get to that, I did some research and I said, all right, I want households that at least have an income of 100,000 or more, because people that make less probably won't be able to afford my service. So they need to at least make that. I did some research on what type of families and the percentage of households that spend extra on their dogs and treat their dogs like family. And then what type of households look for all natural solutions for their pets or for themselves. And what I got to was a serviceable target market of 5.1 million. So from the 65.1 million of the total market, I'm saying the target that we identified is 5.1 million. And then from there, what do I think I can actually obtain? What percentage of this 5.1 million do I think I can get to? I'm being very conservative and I'm saying the first 1 to 2 years, I think I'll get to like less than 0.5%. So, that equals about 2,500 clients. And then a few years after that, we'll grow and we'll get to about 25,000 customers. And this one is hard because it's a huge market. So you really want to think about, what competition is out there and what do I realistically think I can do. I put on here the different sources that I use, so you can see the types of articles that I use. These are all these are research backed, or the National Health Institute, Pew Research, which is a research company. So I did a bunch of digging to find the right sources to help me identify who my target, my serviceable market is. And then we did the same thing for Brainy Home Companions. So with Brainy Home Companions, we're saying this is just going to be a Connecticut-based business for now. So with that, we said, all right, this is for seniors. So we're looking at the total market being any senior in the state of Connecticut that's over 65. Had to research that and found that that's about 575,000. Then we said, okay, but who is our target? So I go back to the target market list that we made. And we said, well, there are people that want in-home services. So they don't want to be at an assisted living. They want to be in home. They seek out brain stimulating activities. And they are in a position where they need these types of services, because not everybody that's 65 or older needs the services. Based on that, it makes for a target market of about 54,000. And then we did the same thing and said, what percentage of the market do we think we could actually obtain? Because for Homer, this is a service-based business. He needs caregivers to go out and do this. It can't just be all him. So he's looking at it and saying, okay, realistically, I'm only going to be able to hire this number of people in the first couple of years. So this is what I think I'm going to be able to do. And then as we grow, I can grow into other areas of the state. And then I can start to build more caregiver capabilities and grow to basically about 550 clients is what he's saying. And again, my sources here, Connecticut by the numbers, another, health, National Health Institute, research paper, things like that, that help me. So do the research. This part is not easy. It's not easy. You have to really take your time, do the research, find the reputable places, but it really helps you understand who your market is, and how big it is, and then where you want to focus your efforts. Okay. And so hopefully that helps you, because then the hope is that you can take that information and then come to Kathleen's session on Monday, where you're really going to be talking about sales and marketing. So now you have your information on your value proposition, your positioning statement. You understand how to size the market and know what your opportunity is. Now you need to ask yourself, am I able to meet my goals in this market? Is it big enough for me to be another business in that market? Do I have a unique enough offering where I can obtain customers? Am I passionate about this type of business? And if so, can I make money off of this? Can I live off of this and feel confident that this is how I can make my wealth? And then if the answer is yes, great, because then Kathleen will teach you how to create marketing plans and start to really generate sales for your business, and continue on in growing the business plan that you have. And I think there's a lot of information, but I think that's it. These are all the resources I used. You'll have all of this in your in the documents that you get from SCORE after the session. So I think that's it, Steve. I think I made good time. Look at that.
All right, great. Kathleen, do we have any questions that we've seen come through yet?
We do not as yet. So as a reminder, if you would like to ask a question, a general question or a question about your specific situation with your own business, you're certainly welcome to type it in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And if there's anything that is particularly sensitive or personal, you can hold that question until after we close off the recording. So it's up to you, but just wanted to let you know that that's available. A couple questions have started to come in, but in the meantime, while we're compiling them, can you share your screen again, Elle? Because I wanted to ask you to explain something for a minute in case anybody has this question and didn't want to ask. Can you go back to one of the ones where you're calculating the market share?
Yeah. Like here?
Yes. Okay. So where you get to the serviceable available market and you've got the percentage numbers, are you calculating that by starting with the 27% of the 575,000 need in-home services, and then it's 70% of them, and then 50% of the 70%?
Great question. Yes. So the way that I typically will do this is I'll look at the total addressable market and I'll say, okay, that's 575. When I go to that target, I try to put the targets, you got to think about it again like a funnel. What's most important? And then from there, like what are the other sort of dependencies of your potential prospective client? And so here I said, all right, out of the 575, most importantly, for my business to be of value to somebody, they're going to need in-home services. Then off of that, they're going to prefer in-home. So they're going to, first the elderly population has to need some sort of service. Then they're going to have to prefer that it's in-home care. And then they're going to have to want brain stimulating activities. So I said, out of the 575, when I did the research, and the research said 27% of elderly population needs some sort of services. Okay, what's 27% of 575? Out of that, 70% prefer in-home care, and I did it that way. So just like you were saying. Yep.
Okay, so it's kind of hierarchical then.
Yeah, I that's the best way to do it, I think,
Mhm.
because there are always going to be dependencies where if they have to meet this criteria first in order to be a target, and then after that, these are almost like additional values.
Okay, great. All right, so now we have questions that have been compiled while we were talking. The first one is
Perfect.
from John and says, my business will have multiple channels. Should I do TAM, SAM, SOM for each channel or one overall?
It really depends on when you're talking about channels. If those are your sales channels, then I would say no, this is your addressable market. You certainly might say your obtainable market. So this last one, the SOM, you might say my attainable market, this percentage is going to be through this channel, this percentage is going to be through that channel. But I think the total addressable market and serviceable are the same, if that's what you're referring to, if the channels are more like, sales channels versus anything else.
If you're talking about completely different products, then I wouldn't call them channels, I'd call them products.
Yes.
And in that case, yes, you would want to do that.
Yes. If you're a business that has multiple products, or you have a product and a service, then you would want to essentially look at that individually.
Or let's be more specific, if they're unrelated products, because let's say the Sarah with the pet food, if she decided to branch into cat food, to some degree, that's going to be different because it's going to be cat owners instead of dog owners, but she's already established a relationship with pet owners. And so there's going to be some amount of overlap,
Right.
potentially, to get that off the ground. But let's say you were trying to, like, how would you approach that if you were trying to decide which animal to choose next in Sarah's case?
In Sarah's case, so I would say, I mean, if I wasn't sure where to start in the first place, like dog versus cat, I would do this exercise for both. And I would also look at the competition for both. And then I would say, okay, this one seems more valuable, right? This one, either because there's more owners, or the research says people are more likely to do more for their dogs than their cats or whatever. So then I would start in one. I think a lot of times people try to do too much at once. So that's why Sarah specifically, we decided, you know what, this could extend to cats, but we're not going to start there with both dogs and cats. It's too much. Once we started with dogs, let's say a year later, we feel like we should do the research to see how we extend it to cats. One of the first things I would do is research around how many dog households also have cats. That's called cross-selling. And that would be the lowest hanging fruit, because now you could cross-sell your product to an existing client. So they're already buying your product for their dog. It's an easy extension that they would also want to buy it for their cat. So that would be a good way to sort of add in a new product or a new market.
Thank you, Elle. And John, if we're not addressing your actual question because what you meant by channels wasn't what we said, feel free to send another response. Mary asks, how would you suggest we make the first outreach to potential clients?
I think that's probably, Kathleen, more of your area, but a lot of it is going to depend on who that target is, which is why it's so important that you know your audience and you know what is important to them and where they get their information, like I said. So for example, if in Homer's business, it's a lot of times the buyer is not the person that needs the service, it's their family member. So then the reach out might be to the family member. Maybe that family member is in their 40s or 50s. They're not, which means, where are they? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Are they, where are they getting their information or spending their extra time? And then I would reach out in those manners. right? So it really depends. And Kathleen, I don't know if you've got any other thoughts there.
I do have some. The first is that if it's a service business, then it's generally going to be the cost of each service event is going to be higher than many products. Not always, because if you're selling a high-end car, it's another story. But a lot of products that people are selling, like the pet food one is an example. Some people might be willing to buy the pet food in the beginning just to try it because it's new. And so being on social media is not a bad idea because a lot of people are hanging out on places like Instagram or Pinterest or whatever. But when you're talking about a service business, you're talking about a relationship, especially in this particular business's case. And in all these businesses' case, you're talking about a relationship. So generally it requires much more interaction, and it's human interaction. So in that case, what you want to think about is, where can you meet people really? Which is going to depend on what it is you're talking about. It might be a convention, it might be the local library, it might be that you can speak at the library on a topic. It could be the Chamber of Commerce. That's where what Elle said about where do they get their information. When it's a service business, it's going to be a lot more referral, word of mouth type things. And how do you make those first contacts is going to be oftentimes live and in person, which feels slower, but actually it's faster because you're more likely to connect with somebody in person than you are any other way. And so even though you might have to go to more events to get your first sale, you're more likely to get one than you are online.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
that's
in a
what
nutshell.
Kathleen and I say all the time, like, humans are emotional buyers. And if you're my existing SCORE mentors, then you have heard me say that. And so because of that, when you're selling a service and it is in person, a lot of times it's easier if you're confident and you know what you're doing, you're passionate about it, that passion can come through. And to Kathleen's point, that sale is easier because you can create that connection than you can with potentially a product that is, a try before you buy fully type thing. So there's value in really understanding the emotion that you're trying to get out of clients and the problem that you're trying to solve for them, and then using that in, your direct interactions with everybody.
Hey, Kathleen, before we go to the next question, can I launch the mentor poll?
Yep.
All right. So everybody, if you're interested in getting a SCORE mentor, I'm going to share a quick poll. You can just answer the questions that are here. If you would like to be set up with a mentor, I will send you an email telling you how to do that. You don't have to worry. That'll be the only email I send you. And if you're all set with the mentoring, that's fine as well. But I just wanted to get that in before we keep going. So back to you, Kathleen.
All right. Valerie says, I saw something on one of the slides about business model. Can you explain what that is?
Business model. Let me look back at my slides.
I know, I don't remember that.
Like, it could be. Let's see. I'm just trying to look through and see. If she can give us more context, I'm just looking through them here on my own and I don't see them. I don't see it really.
I mean, in general, a business model is how are you going to operate? Are you going to be
Elle, she said it was on the TAM, SAM, and SOM slide.
Oh, yep, okay. Yeah, so it's related to the serviceable, like the target market. So we say, the TAM, the total addressable market, the SAM, the serviceable available, or as you call it, sort of like your target. And then in that it says the verbiage was saying portion of the market you can acquire based on your business model, which in that regard, they're just talking about your target, like your target clients, your model being the personas, the type of people that you're targeting, like we talked about with with Sarah, the eco-conscious, the, premium pet owners, things like that. To Kathleen's point, there's business models are oftentimes, depending on the type of either product or service you have, there's lots of business models that you can go to market with in different industries.
Well, and just to use those two businesses as an example, when you talk about the total market share that you could capture, there's the sales side, but then there's also the delivery side. And so depending on your business model, like for example, if all you're doing is buying completed pet food from somebody else who's making it, and you're the middle person, then your business model is a distributor who is basically the sales arm. If your business model is you are buying the ingredients and you are making the food, putting it together and delivering it, that's business model number 2. Business model number 3 is you're buying the ingredients and you're shipping them to the customer with a recipe as to how to put it together themselves. So each one of those is going to have its own supply chain issues and delivery challenges and benefits. And the same is going to be true if you are trying to start Brainy Home Companions and it's you delivering all the service versus if you're going to hire people or use contractors to do the work. So that's partly what Elle was talking about with respect to business model, because how you choose to structure your business will impact how much you can actually take on in sales, especially at the beginning when you're small.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. The next question is, how can I use this process? Oh, sorry, I skipped one. Can I get a link to the recording and follow-up materials for the earlier session that I missed? So in other words, you missed class number 1. Right now, the video for that class is on our YouTube channel. We do not have a mechanism to deliver the materials at this point, but we are in the process of getting that built. And once it is built, we will then put the link to those materials also on each of the YouTube videos. You can find it in our Greater Hartford SCORE YouTube channel. There is a playlist called Startup School, and you can find all the videos associated with this series there. All right, now, how can I use this process to find a target market for fine jewelry buyers or fine identification jewelry buyers? I don't know what fine identification jewelry buyers is. I
think they mean find, like identify the buyers maybe, but so I think, yeah, you would use the same process. What I don't know from your question is whether it's, are you selling like wholesale? Are you selling to people that have jewelry stores? Are you selling direct to consumer? So is this like a selling to other businesses or selling to consumers? Because that would change, a little bit about what your target market is, but you would do the same thing. Let's say you're selling to consumers, then you would want to identify the type of consumer that is. So is it a woman of a certain age? Is it a man buying for a woman? Is it, do they need a certain amount of income because they are going to, if it's fine jewelry, they're going to need a certain amount of disposable income in order to find value in purchasing these things. Is it for special occasions? So you want to sort of identify those types of things.
It is direct to consumer. So definitely the income, style, where they tend to buy things, all that's going to come into play for sure.
Exactly.
It's direct to consumer. Okay. The last question is, can you talk about building relationships with other businesses or organizations who may be able to help you reach your audience?
Yeah, and Kathleen, you could jump in here for sure. I mean, I think a lot of that is building partnerships. And I think they can be very valuable to small businesses. Um, you need to make sure you're in the position to have those first. You're confident with the business, with the plan, with your pitch and your value. And then you can look for adjacent type businesses that would you might be able to partner with and add value to each other, either cross sell or maybe you sell your product in their store, or different things like that. And so there are ways to do that, and it's really just going to depend on the market you're in as to how you would approach them, and the type of business it is. Kathleen, any other thoughts?
Yes. The first is, what's in it for them? It's just like any other marketing relationship is, what's in it for them? If you're going to cross market with each other, it's an easy no-brainer. If you're just looking for people to help you reach the audience you want to reach, what are you offering in return? And if it's your friend that you're close with, that's another story, because friends help each other no matter what. Or if it's a mastermind group or a mentoring group or something where people band together and they say, listen, I'll help you any chance I get, because I know that when I need you, you'll help me, whatever. But if it's just like, I'll give you a perfect example of what ticks me off to no end, and this will tick off everybody. I'm on LinkedIn, I get a notice from somebody who says they want to connect with me. And I used to say yes to everybody, because I was like, okay, fine. And then 2 seconds later, I get a solicitation, often disguised as how they can help me, but really it's totally a solicitation. And I used to just delete them. And finally I responded to one and I said, really? You just tried to connect with me and now you're trying to sell me something within 5 seconds? Like, there is no way I will ever do this in a million years. So you've got to always be thinking about the other person's perspective and how can you be the most generous you can be as you try to build your network and your business. Because if you come from a position of generosity, true generosity as opposed to pretend generosity, people are going to be drawn to you. Whereas if it's fake, they can smell it a mile away.
Yeah,
And you should go through, oh, go ahead, Steve.
I was gonna say I've talked to clients about this in the past, where if you think about like kind of co-branding, co-promoting, trying to do events together, try to think about other businesses that are not direct competitors,
Hmm.
but may have similar buyers in the same universe that you work with. So I was saying, like, if you're a massage therapist, do you try to partner with a physical therapist, a chiropractor, a nutritionist, a wellness, kind of something in that same space where the buyers are similar, but they're not direct competitors of your business. And that way you can both leverage your client base to kind of make 1 + 1 = 3.
Yeah. And when
Yeah.
you're trying to find those potential partners, you want to go back through and think about the problem you're solving and the values from their perspective, right? Because before you were selling directly to a consumer, for example. Now, if you are looking for, potentially partners or something in the market, you're still selling to them. You're just selling to a different audience. So you should do that same exercise, because to Kathleen's point, what's in it for them? So what problem are you solving for them? Why would they want to partner with you? And what value can you provide them? If you can articulate that well as being generous, that's going to give you the biggest opportunity for that to work out.
Agreed.
Definitely, it's true in the medical space. There's a lot of that because, say, a physical therapist is not going to do the same thing as a massage therapist, who's not going to do the same thing as a chiropractor. Now, some of them may completely disagree with each other and say, I'm never going to work with a chiropractor, for example, because I don't agree with how they do stuff. But then there might be others who are open to that and go, hey, if you can help my patients, I'm going to send them to you, because not only will the patient be helped, but they'll remember that I helped them get help. And so now it's going to you know, a rising tide floats all boats. And so there is definitely synergies, especially if you do anything like web design and you have a SEO expert on the side, or you have a person who does social media on the side. Like when you think about things that have total synergy and that people are looking for one, they're often looking for multiple people to do something related to the project. Then by you being the person who's the coordinator between people, it gives you another level of authority and status in their eyes, which is a huge benefit to you and then all of you.
All right, fantastic. I think we're out of questions. Is that right, Kathleen?
We are indeed.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. But before I do that, I want to thank everybody for joining today. We appreciate your participation. Remember to sign up for Monday's class if you haven't already do so. If you haven't already done so, you can look for the registration link in your email tomorrow, which will include a link to the recording for today's session, as well as a copy of Elle's document. You can find all of our recordings on our YouTube channel. Just search for Greater Hartford Score, and you will find our YouTube page and find all of the videos that we have there. And while you're there, highly recommend you subscribe to the channel. That way, every time a new video is posted, you'll be notified. So with that, I want to thank everybody for joining, and we will see you next week.